Hi, we're back with another episode of Birth of Mya-Moe. Today, day one, step one, we're going to bend. We do several steps today, but what we're going to talk about is bending the sides. So I bend 2 sets of sides every day I work out here. This is the set of sides for 1527. That's the instrument we're building. Tenor Classic. It's upside down. We got these back from Carrie, as you remember. They are thicknessed to the proper thickness and they're profiled. So I'm going to mark on the inside of the instrument, not the show side. Also, I'll just remind you that we always keep the show sides together. There's a chalk S on there so we know. These are mirror images, so we're going to get some nice, we're going to get a nice joint at the tail. So that's what we go for anyway. So these are the straight edges are going to be the top of the instrument. And I want to mark those so that I remember what the top edge is. So I just put an arrow at each end just to let me know this is going to be where the top is going to be attached. I also put the serial number on these just in case we have similar instruments, similar sets of wood. So I do that on both sides, on the inside of the instrument. And then I have the other things we need for this step are 2 pieces of spring steel. We need some water, we need a heating blanket, and a bending form. I have 2 benders. I'm going to use the bender over here. I've got a tenor bending form ready to go. I've got my 2 sides. I've got the heating blanket over here also ready to go. So these, the reason I've got my 2 pieces of spring steel here, and I'm going to spritz my sides pretty heavily with water. I'm going to remove this sticker. And I've covered my sheets of spring steel with aluminum foil because if I don't do that, when they heat up with the water, they're going to stain the wood to a beautiful dark blue that will not be removed.
And some people might wonder why we don't use stainless steel. Why do we use spring steel?
The reason I don't use stainless steel is because spring steel comes back to flat, and stainless steel wants to keep the bend once it comes out of the bender. And since I want to use the same pieces for all the different sizes, so I don't get memory in the steel. So that's why I use spring steel. All right. So I also, one thing that Ben and Carrie do for me is they put a mark for that I use to register where the waist is going to go. So there's a mark here, and it's also on the other side. When I open it up and lay it down, I use that mark. I've got a mark on my pieces of spring steel so that I can register those when I put those in the bending apparatus. So I'm going to place those on my 1 piece of spring steel and spritz both sides. I'm pretty heavy-handed with the water.
But it doesn't get soaked, it gets spritzed.
It gets spritzed and it doesn't soak in really because I'm going to bend it right away. So I don't allow it to sit here.
And it heats to boiling, over 212 degrees.
Okay. Place that down right beside. Hopefully I have good edge. Looks great. I've got it lined up right on my center mark for the waist. Place this on top. I've also got the mark there. I'm going to take it over here. Grab my heating blanket, which has the indexing mark on it.
The indexing mark for the waist.
For the waist, that's right. Slide it into the bender. And then I can see, I don't know if you'll be able to get that on the video, but I can see that little mark right there.
Yep.
Okay. I just give it a little bit of pressure so it will stay. Then I turn on my heating blanket with a timer. So it will go off automatically and I don't have to remember to come over here.
That's just
and
a
turn it on.
safety timer.
Right. And then I've got a thermometer here, probe, and I've got it set to alarm at 212 degrees. I don't know if you can see that.
Yep,
Can you see it?
I think so.
Okay. And now I've turned it off. I think it died.
No, it's
No,
on.
it's still.
It just doesn't work in the elevated position
Oh, okay.
right now.
I'm going to turn it back off to 212. Normally I don't have to do this.
So you're setting that alarm so it's gonna let you know when it's time to bend.
Exactly.
And you want to heat it to 212 before you even think about
Right.
bending it.
And sometimes, depending on the wood type, I will heat it to further than that, but I always leave it at 212 and then I kind of decide
And
in
you
the
put
moment what I'm going to do.
you put those little spring clamps in so nothing moves.
So nothing moves, and so that my heating blanket, it just comes in better contact all the way across the steel. So I'm going to go ahead and load up my clamps for bending. They're just going to wait here until I'm ready to go. All right. So this is going to take about between 5 and 10 minutes to
Just to
come
get up to temperature.
And then I'm going to come back and do the bending. So we'll cut for now and we'll resume when I'm ready to bend. We're almost ready to go. I don't normally stand here and watch it go up to 212. I load the other benders so I kind of get them going. Okay, so it's 212. I'm going to stop the alarm. And Myrtle, I generally take to 212 unless there's something strange about the set. So I am going to turn my heating blanket down to about level 5, remove the thermometer and the spring clamps. The first thing I do is cinch the waist. Don't have to turn it too hard. Just until I meet resistance. And then I bend the lower bout pretty slowly.
And we bend the lower bout first because it's the biggest bend. So we're really allowing the upper bout, the tighter bend, to get a little bit more heat under it before it goes.
I don't know if you can see on the video, but there's some steam kind of escaping here. And we could also hear it kind of sizzling when it got up to temperature. I'm a little slower about this upper bout, especially if the wood has curl. I'm really gentle in this case, in this part. And if I'm doing a cutaway, it's a couple of extra steps there. Okay. You can see that if I let this go, this clamp and spring, you can see at the end here, like there's some space. It doesn't want to, it's not tight enough to pull all the way in. So I use these clamps to pull in both ends very close to the form. All right, there you go. The heater is still, the heating blanket's actually still on. It's gonna be on for another couple minutes and then it's gonna click off because I have it on the timer. And then I'm gonna actually let these sit in the bender for at least 8 hours. Usually I let them sit overnight, but I think we might film later today. But after 2 or 3 hours, they're gonna stay like this. So I give them plenty of time, plenty of extra time. All right, that's it for bending. The next thing we're gonna do with the sides, once we remove them from the bender, is install the neck block. And that's the end of what we do with the sides in step 1. And today we're also gonna do bracing, so we'll see you then.